Bonjour tout le monde! Okay, today we're going to begin with another exciting grammar lesson. We're going to work through prendre, the partitif, and avoir. All three of these are important concepts for next week's class. Enjoy! First things first, prendre means literally to take, but it can also mean things like to take in the sense of I'll take a cup of coffee, or did you take tea today? It's a little more of the British English that it relates to rather than the English that we use every day. But prendre is a really cool verb because it lets you talk about eating food without using manger 42 times. And it also lets you, take buses and all kinds of other exciting ways that you use the word take in English. So let's start with learning how it goes together. It's an RE verb, so it follows a lot of the RE patterns, but it's special. So here we go. Je prends. Notice that ends in S, and then we have tu prends. Also ending in S, looking identical. We have some je, tu twins. Again, you'll notice that's a pattern throughout all of the verbs that we've been learning. They either hang out together or they don't, but it's really common for them to be exactly the same. And then you have il or elle prend, and so it's an SS nothing verb in that way because the D is your ending letter. Nous prenons for we, right? Nous prenons. Then you have vous prenez, following the very typical patterns, except that you don't have that D where you might have it in other more traditional forms. And then you have il or elle prennent. It's very important to say not the ENT, but to let that N ring. Il or elle prennent. And the reason that it's so important for that N to ring whenever you're speaking is because il and il sound exactly the same, of course, but one means they and one means he. And so your verb is actually helping you to know whether you're talking about multiple people or just that one guy. So you have to make sure whenever you're saying it, you hear ils prennent or il prend. That's as complicated as that gets, folks. I recommend practicing and writing up some words and some sentences that allow you to use prendre. It'll help to practice through that. All right, moving on to our bigger concept of the day. Le partitif is a way of talking about some or a little, right? So it lets you say that you have some of an item. Now, in English, we do this all the time. Did you have some carrots? Yeah, I had some, right? But you can also say, did you have carrots? But in French, you must always say that you're having some carrots. Because if you don't say that you're having some carrots, you're implying that you're eating all of the carrots in the world. For example, if I'm eating pizza and I don't say I'm eating some pizza, they'll assume I've eaten a whole pizza. And of course, your French friends will take this to absurdity and it'll be hilarious and you'll have a good laugh. But it's important so that people realize how much you're eating usually. So, and it's important for the structure of the language for whenever we start replacing that you had food with some food later on. All right. Most importantly, the partitif is made of de plus some structures that you already know. For example, de la. If I want to say I've had some pizza, I say de la pizza. And for masculine, I use le, just like I normally would, but de, when it meets le, becomes du. So, je mange du pain. I had some bread. And then you have de plus les for those plural things, right? And for plural things, you're going to encounter like carrots, right? You would have des carottes. And here are some other examples for you. So I did du pain already. There's also de la glace. And de la glace is, of course, some ice cream. Des carottes, de la viande, du fromage, et de l'eau. Forgive my carottes. It looks like the PowerPoint corrected it for me for the 14th time. Make sure your spelling is correct on carottes because it's not the same as it is in English. Make sure that whenever you're looking at these, you see that you're saying some of whatever it is, even if that agreement is a little more complicated than it is in English. That's all you're saying. You're not saying you're having of cheese or from cheese. You're saying you're having some cheese, which I know is complicated because they use de in way too many ways. But this is what it means here. And so whenever you're talking through things, you'll need to make sure that you indicate that you had some of them. So if you want to use our new exciting verb, you would say, je prends du pain, meaning I'm eating some bread. Or je bois de la thé, right? I had some tea. And so all of that comes together and it helps you to talk about food, and we're going to have a lot of fun talking about food, so that's really worthwhile. Okay, next up, we also have some avoir expressions that we're gaining this week that don't translate the way that we'd expect them to, and so they're really important phrases, so I'm going to cover them here as well. Avoir froid. So if I say je suis froide, what I'm actually telling you is that I'm a cold person, and I'm cold emotionally. And I mean, you can take that where you will, but I would much rather say that I am cold because I'm cold and I need a blanket, j'ai froid. Or I'm cold because it's winter outside, j'ai froid, right? But if it's hot outside or I feel like I'm melting, right, j'ai chaud. If you use être with this one, you're telling me that you're hot as in you're sexy. And so it's very important that you click into avoir when you're expressing temperature in relation to yourself. It's also important to use avoir when you're expressing hunger. J'ai faim is I am hungry, right? Even though you're telling me you have the hunger. What's most important with faim is that you don't say the M. Because if you say the M, you're telling me that you have woman, not that you have hunger. And that doesn't translate as well, and then I don't know, you feel a little bit like Tarzan, right? You gotta move into avoir faim to say that you're hungry. Otherwise, people will really not understand the intended meaning that you'd like to eat if you have woman. So, there's also soif. J'ai soif means I am thirsty. And it is a really typical expression. And that soif is thirst. And that is exactly how it's conjugated every time. Excitingly enough, because they're avoir expressions, you don't have to make any changes to hunger or heat or any of that because they're actually nouns, so you don't have to make them agree with you because nouns wouldn't. So it's pretty exciting. And that is everything for us this week. I hope you guys have a great week, and I look forward to seeing you on Tuesday. A plus!